Hello there, beautiful friends. I'm Blackenfist, and today I'm going to be talking about Dragon Ball. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan for long time, and years ago I discovered the Dragon Ball fandom on the internet, and it was great. But there was always one thing that always disappointed me with the fandom, with the community. Always was a letdown, and it's been going on for years now. I mean, as long as I can, as far as I like, when I first discovered the Dragon Ball fandom, it was going on, and it's still going on to this day. And what I'm talking about is the division and the rifts in the at least in the American Dragon Ball fandom. I'm not sure if this happens in other countries like in Canada or UK or whatever, but I know at least in the American Dragon Ball fandom this happens. So I'm just going to be specifically talking about the American Dragon Ball fandom because I don't know what goes on abroad. I just know what goes on here. And what I'm saying is that in US, Dragon Ball, or when it first came here and it gained a lot of popularity, it attracted a lot of different fans. Usually the same type of people are attracted to the same sort of things. You know, that's usually what happens with a fandom, and they're very, have one mindset. Like usually, of course, there might be some, differentials in that fandom, but it's nowhere near like it's in the Dragon Ball fandom. And with the Dragon Ball fandom, though, it definitely attracted a lot of different people to it, and therefore a lot of different fans with a lot of different tastes. And that's what happened with the Dragon Ball fandom, because it hit such a massive explosion here in America. It attracted a lot of different people, and it also created a lot of division and a lot of infighting. Like, I remember from day one, people were arguing about whether the Ocean dub or the Funimation dub was better. Whether that was better, or whether the Japanese score, Kinkuchi score, was better to the Bruce Faulkner score. The Bruce Faulkner guys would be like, oh man, it's so badass. And the Kinkuchi guys would be all elitist. They'll be all elitist and saying, you guys are Dragon Ball fans. You guys are fakes. You guys don't like Dragon Ball at all. And it just went on like that. You know, there was people that just loved Dragon Ball Z and thought that, like, Dragon Ball, the first part was gay, or, those guys which were annoying as heck too. And then there was guys, of course, that were like, no, I love both series, And then there was another guy right there saying, no, they're not two series, they're one series. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are one series, they're not two series. Which that's where I am, but still, it was like that. And any little thing that the Dragon Ball fandom in America any little thing that they would disagree on, it would be complete, like, you're that type of fan and I'm this type of fan. You're not a real fan, I'm the real fan. You don't agree with the original Japanese. You don't agree with, you don't agree with Toei Animation. You don't agree with Toriyama's vision. Whoever the hell they viewed as authority. The American guys, they always go back to something. A lot of the American fans, they always go back to something to Japan. Like, you don't agree with the, Maeda's vision. With Maeda was one of the top Japanese animators with the anime, and like, you don't agree with his vision. You don't agree with Toei's animation. You don't agree with Toriyama's vision. They always were trying to go with, like, oh, you're just trying to do something else to it, and that's how it went. It was of course kind of amusing to watch at first. At first it was amusing maybe for like the first 2 years of observing this, but after that, I was like, okay, damn. After that, I was like, I never was part of this whole arguments in this. I always observed it because I never wanted to expend energy on something like that. I always observed it, and I always kind of found it amusing, but then as time went on, it was very disappointing. Very disappointing to see this, to see these obnoxious fans, really obnoxious people, tearing the fandom apart, really. And I found it extremely annoying, and And I remember when the orange bricks came out, when those season sets were coming out, and of course it was a subpar release, but at the time it was the only way for you to the only realistic way for a lot of people to get all the Dragon Ball episodes, so they got it anyway. Even though it was a subpar release. But then the Dragon Box came out, and the way the American Dragon Ball fandom acts and reacts to things, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen, that people were going to start arguing about the boxes, and of course that's what happened. And people were going back and forth about the season sets or the Dragon Box, which one's better. It says that season sets are crap. They were cropped. Of course they were cropped. Some freaking heads were cut off and all that crap. But the season set guys stuck with it. I guarantee you that if the Dragon Box and the season sets were both perfect releases, they were both perfect, they would still argue. It doesn't matter. To me, it didn't matter that the season sets had some problems with it. To me, it was just that, I like this and you like that, and you're the fake Dragon Ball fan. So that's the way I view it. To me, it didn't even matter if the season sets had any problems. If they were both the Dragon Ball season sets, if they were both perfect releases, they would still argue to death about it. And then, of course, I remember when Kai was being announced, and I was extremely excited for Kai. And, of course, in hindsight and retrospective, it was going to be a complete, repeat of the of what happened before. It was pretty obvious what was going to happen when that hit these shores. But I remember when it came out, and I remember watching it when it first came out in Japan, and I watched it. I never watched Kai in the English version. I only watched in the Japanese, and it was interesting to see Kai again. To see Dragon Ball again, to see that it's getting attention in Japan again. But they had all the Japanese voice casts returning, except for people that died, like Tien Shinhan's voice actor. So it was nice to see, but I already saw that. So I was extremely energetic for watching Kai, but then it died down. I died down on it, and I stopped watching it. And I said, okay, this is interesting. The new score is interesting. But I like Kinkuchi's score better than Yamamoto's. I mean, Yamamoto's score is good, and yeah, it's good, and but I still like the Kinkuchi score better. Hell, I even liked the Bruce Faulkner score better than the Yamamoto score, and that's not an insult to Yamamoto's score. I think Yamamoto's score is good, but I really love. I don't get why people have to like one or the other. I like both the Kinkuchi score and the Bruce Faulkner score. But for me personally, I like the Bruce Faulkner score and the Kinkuchi score better than Yamamoto's. I thought Yamamoto's take on the score was pretty interesting, but I wasn't really that interested in it. But I really was excited that Dragon Ball was going to be attracting this new generation of fans. And that's what I was being the optimistic here, that, yeah, when it hits these shores, it's going to attract, even more different people that, even more people that wouldn't have been fans in the first place and get them into the fold. Well, if you know the history of the Dragon Ball fandom, there's already a lot of different people in the fandom, and that's always been, I guess, a good thing, but it's also been a bad thing because of all this infighting. When you get all these different people now when they get in through Kai, that's just going to be another division. Like it's the same old stories. And that's exactly what happened. When Kai came over here, there was, bam, another division again. And people, of course, resorted to the same thing that I've seen. This ain't nothing new. The same thing that I've always seen in years past, which was obnoxious, annoying ass fighting. Maybe if I just came into the Dragon Ball fandom, you would see this all as amusing, but I've been seeing this for years. It's no longer amusing to me anymore. It's just kind of annoying. But yeah, and on a side note, they redubbed Kai, which was, I think, great. It's awesome to see that they did something with Dragon Ball. before Kai even came out, I always wanted Funimation redub Z. Because there was always problems with that dub. I tolerated it, but you know, the Japanese version was superior, and you know, when you hear the Japanese version, that's pretty much the definitive voice cast, end of story, you know. But you know, I'm not one of those Dragon Ball elitists which just, you know, jerk on the Japanese bandwagon. You know what I mean? I was gonna say something else, but you know what I mean. I'm not one of those guys. I like the Japanese version, but I also like to see it in English. I like to see it both. But it's just no comparison. The Japanese version is superior. So I always wanted Funimation to go back and redub the original Z. And they did, to a certain extent, back when they did the Ultimate Uncut editions, when they redubbed all those lines. And I liked that. I liked the, you know, the voice acting quality. If you hear it when they went back and redubbed the first part of the series to when they first started dubbing Dragon Ball Z, you're going to see a huge disparity in quality and voice acting quality there. And I wish they could have done that through the whole series, but well, I guess I was wishing too much. You know, when I first saw the redubbed version of the English version of Dragon Ball Z, the first part, I was like, oh my god, damn, these guys have gotten so much better. And then when I figured out that they never really dubbed the whole thing, they just went back to the old dub, I'm like, man, I wish they went through the whole thing like that. I wish they went back and redubbed everything, because that would have been perfect. You know, that would have been, like, satisfy everyone. Of course, the Japanese fans were satisfied with the Dragon Box, but the English fans of Z were never really satisfied. And I guess some English fans resorted to Kai, but whatever. It was good to see that there was a good English cast in there. You know, experienced more English cast. But, you know, in the end, even though I don't prefer Kai, I see Kai as anything else, really. I see it as, you know, the season sets, really. You know, it's another way for the Dragon Ball fandom to grow. And the Dragon Ball fandom is very diverse, and that's, you know, that's definitely very good, and it's definitely good, helps with numbers and sales and all that. But it's also, you know, it's also a weakness that I see because of all this obnoxious fighting. But I thought overall Kai is another good way to get another generation of Dragon Ball fans into Dragon Ball, and in both Japan and America, which, by the way, that's the reason why Toei Animation did all this. They did it because they were looking through old series, and they were looking through, okay, which one do you think deserves to get? They were just trying to indoctrinate. Maybe indoctrinate is not the word, but just grow another generation of Dragon Ball fans, and that's exactly what they did. And when it came over here, that's what it's doing right now. And even though I don't prefer Kai, I prefer the original Z. I prefer the original, you know, voice cast, Japanese voice cast. I prefer just the original stuff, you know. And, you know, to me, the only way I'm going to experience Dragon Ball is through the 153 episode Dragon Ball series and the Dragon Ball Z 291 episode Dragon Ball Z series, or I'm just going to read the manga. Those are the only ways, really, for me, because I find that that's, to me, the best, you know. To me, there is no Dragon Ball without, you know, Dragon Ball. People skip Dragon Ball all the time, and really, to me, by the way, you know, that's why Toei started with, you know, apparently Dragon Ball Z, because that's the most popular part of the series. And it didn't start with the beginning of Dragon Ball, which would have been awesome, but whatever. Alright. I don't know what exact point I wanted to make with this video, you know, but except for the fact that the divisions and infighting really starting to get on my nerves. But whatever. It's starting to get on my nerves, but whatever. It's the Dragon Ball fan. It was just something you gotta live with. Anyway, I don't know what else to say, so maybe I'll say, maybe I got something else to say in another video, but for now, I'm Blackenfist, and I'm out, man.